It's Tuesday, the 21st of May. Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us. Low pressure is moving into the North Island with some heavy rain. Look at the infrared satellite image taken last night at 9 p.m. We'll now animate the 12 hours since then, and you can see that heavy rain in the dark shading here crossing right down over the North Island. It clears behind it in the blue shading. That's as the centre of the low itself starts to move in. But the low is actually going to have two centres by the end of today, one to the west, one to the east. That kind of keeps a lot of the north drier than you might think, although there could still be some heavy downpours, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm or two. But the shape of the low over the top of the North Island encourages that rain to keep feeding in to the southern eastern side of the island. So Hawke's Bay, Waited Upper area, could be seeing some heavy rain over the next day or two, and it slides back up towards Gisborne as we go through the next couple of days. So this is how it looks this evening at 6 p.m. The main area of low pressure just there off the coast of Waikato. A secondary area of low pressure out here to the east. And the two combine to drive in this wet east to northeasterly wind. It might even curve a bit more southeasterly depending on where you are. And that's where the rain is driving in, against the hills and ranges, so it accumulates even more. Western areas won't be quite as wet unless you get one of those thundery downpours that comes on through. Elsewhere, the South Island, cooler with southerlies, not as wet for you. But as that low crosses over, some of the wet weather will slide down the eastern side of the South Island. Not as much as the north is getting, but a little bit of that drizzly kind of patchy wet weather is expected to come down the South Island. So again, Tuesday evening, 6 p.m, the low pressure zone moving in across the North Island. This is the main area of rain. Let's animate it overnight tonight and into Wednesday. And most of the rain does clear except for this area here. And that's why you're getting those rain warnings that are out from Met Service. The warnings are going to cover a larger area than the rain. As you can see, it's not necessarily widespread all across the North Island. It's just falling in the same spot for the same day, same couple of days over and over in the same area. That's the reason why you're seeing those rainfall numbers lift up. Let's have a look at the accumulation again from 6 o'clock this evening through until 6 o'clock Thursday evening, thanks to our partners at the Weather Company. Really good graphics to clearly see what is going on. And this is the area in here where we're forecasting the heaviest rain. Up and over 100 millimetres is possible. But it is worth noting, because of the unusual shape of the low moving in, the heavy rain that is just there could move a little further up and down the island. It is not 100% locked in to that area. It might move further northwards or stay further southwards. But at this stage, Hawke's Bay pretty much smack bang in the middle of the heaviest of that rain coming through. Spread over a couple of days, should minimise more of the serious problems, but there could still be road closures and localised slips and flooding as a result of that rain. And you can also see it slides down into the eastern part of the South Island, although rainfall totals won't be huge. Inland parts of Marlborough won't be seeing very much in the way of rain. Here on Wednesday at lunchtime, this shows 24 hours worth of rain. Normally we don't show you that rainfall map, so that's why you're seeing so much of the pale blue, just a few showers if you're in that blue zone. But if you're over here, this is where the rainfall totals are larger, and it's just this small area that could be seeing the issues with some slips and flooding. And so the shape of this low and the exact placement of it makes all the difference to a small area of rain like that. If the low expands in size, it could push that rain further down and spread it out. If the low shrinks a wee bit or gets a little bit tighter at the centre, that heavy rain could go further up and linger longer. So that is the reason why there is some uncertainty and why not everyone is going to get the rain you might think you are getting. Dry for everywhere else down here, by the way. If I'm not talking about you, there's not much going on. Temperature-wise, look at the difference between north and south. Single-digit temperatures around the South Island. You might get to 10 if you're in Invercargill, but certainly low temperatures in the southern half of the South Island, much milder for the north here. Not so much on the eastern coastline, but to the north of the Central Plateau. That's where you'll be seeing those late teen temperatures for you. So on Thursday, fairly dry in some of these areas. There might be a few showers that bubble up, caught up in that southeasterly flow. The heavy rain slides further up the Hawke's Bay ranges and in more towards Gisborne. There is still some wet kind of drizzly stuff coming in around Canterbury up towards Marlborough. Not a huge amount, and maybe a little bit of rain here over on the west coast. And by Friday, once again, still showing you 24 hours of rainfall, which we don't normally show you on these maps because it ends up looking like this, just a whole lot of pale blue indicating showers. Added up for 24 hours, you end up with maybe 1 to 5 millimeters. That's what the pale blue is. But these areas here show some heavier downpours that could form on Friday, 10, 15, 20 millimeters in some of those areas, 10 to 15 in that green area there. But mostly that rain is clearing away. And now look what comes into the south. Here's the next cold change. So by Saturday, this back to the normal rain maps now, just showing you a snapshot at lunchtime. And you can see the big southwesterly flow, few showers in here, a couple of those might be a bit briefly heavy or even squally off the Tasman. Behind it, your usual showers, and the blue line measuring air thickness shows the colder, drier air from the Southern Ocean is starting to come up, and it's all going around this enormous high pressure zone. And just finally on Sunday here, not only is it wintry around parts of New Zealand, this high, which is controlling our weather like the previous one did, moves closer towards us on Sunday, meaning that maybe next week could be settled for a time and a bit frosty. Behind it, low pressure, which is the first time we've seen that this year, I think, or if not, it's certainly only been a couple of times this year that we've seen this zone south of Australia free of giant high pressure. So it is still here on Sunday, but by the following week, we do expect this to be gone and different weather coming through after what has been kind of repetitive setup in our part of the world for the last few months. That is all from me for today. Back again on Wednesday with our latest update on the rain around the country and the general big picture. We'll see you then.